Hey guys, Neomis here. Now for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the rumours on Thomas Lemar being linked to Arsenal. Henrikh Mkhitaryan, that's right, I said it. Henrikh Mkhitaryan, still an Arsenal player, been linked with a permanent move to Roma, as well as more additional news regarding Jerome Boateng. Now, let's get started. So, big news. Well, not so much big news. Thomas Lemar. Now, I have to admit, when I first heard this story about Thomas Lemar being linked to Arsenal, I said, you know what? This news must have been about 3-4 years too late, because I don't get it. Where has it come from? Like, for me, this has almost come from nowhere. But just because of this series, I need to talk about some news that are a bit interesting. And the reason why I thought it was interesting is that Thomas Lemar, for the most part, has been a bit of a failure at Atletico Madrid, to the point where even Diego Simeone, the manager of Atletico Madrid, said, and I quote, "Maybe it's time to part ways." Of course he's going to say that. He hasn't been great for them. He hasn't. He really hasn't. And even though I think that at his time, Thomas Lemar was a good player, definitely overpriced for what was quoted for him back in the day when Arsene Wenger was very close to signing him. I mean, Mbappe looks like the better player. But 90 million at the time for Thomas Lemar? No way. And I don't know what the rumours are with Thomas Lemar in terms of definitive numbers, just because no bids have kind of been put forward. It's more so just an interest. I wouldn't be buying Thomas Lemar. But here's the kicker and the positiveness from this rumour, in that Arsenal are looking to have him on loan, which I think is good. I think that's really good. Because you know what, right now, we don't have money in order to go out and purchase a whole bunch of players that we might want, or purchase kind of top quality players. So we got to be real strategic on how we bring players in, whether it being experienced players for cheap, i.e. Jerome Boateng, or kind of talented players that kind of fallen off a bit like Thomas Lemar. So in that respect, okay, I can see that, especially when the fact that we do need somebody experienced out there on the left. Aubameyang's been great, but the guy is a striker. He should be played up front in the striking role. Bringing in someone like Thomas Lemar gives us the ability to potentially play both Aubameyang and Lacazette together up front, but still having Lemar on the left, almost like in a 4-4-2 type formation. So I could see where that would work. Would Thomas Lemar work? Fuck knows. No idea. No idea whether it's going to work or not. I don't know if this is a Mikel Arteta one where he spotted something within Thomas Lemar and wants to bring him to Arsenal. I don't know if this is an Edu thing, or, you know, it's a Vinay thing. I really don't know. Me as an Arsenal fan, I'm going to sit back and just enjoy it. And I'm going to hope that the club know what they're doing in regards to this. But I do have to say, I'm slightly underwhelmed. Slightly. It kind of makes sense, but I'm slightly underwhelmed, because he could come at Arsenal on loan and still perform badly, and then it would be a bit of a waste. So let's see what happens. It's just a rumour. You don't know what's going to happen. Tottenham are also interested in him as well. Figures. They're also interested. So let's see what happens in terms of Thomas Lemar to Arsenal or Spurs. Next, other news. Henrikh Mkhitaryan. Now, at the beginning of the season, Henrikh Mkhitaryan had been cast off by our former manager Unai Emery to say, you know what, mate, you're not good enough. We don't want you here. Or maybe it was a situation whereby Mkhitaryan was like, listen, Unai, I'm tired of your shit. Don't want to be at Arsenal. I don't like you. And I'm off. Either way, Henrikh was off. Unai's gone. Supposedly, Henrikh has been playing well at Roma. He scored 3 goals in 13 games. He's been a bit injured as well there. Not surprised by that because he has been for Arsenal. But he scored 3 goals this season within those 13 games. But overall, Roma have felt that he has played well and does warrant them keeping him. Now, a bid was rejected today, or at least by, according to the Sun and the Daily Express and the Mirror, that a bid of £8.5 million or 10 million euros was rejected by that, which is perfectly understandable. Henrik Mkhitaryan, think of him however you want, and I have my thoughts, and I've done videos on Henrik Mkhitaryan before. When we originally got rid of him to Roma, I think he's a good player. He just isn't consistent enough for me. He does play well for Armenia, but I'm not sold on Henrik Mkhitaryan. And even though I think the club should sell him, I think the 10 million euros is far too low. I think if they bump that up to about 15 to 20, to be honest, I think I'd be looking at that as being a better option. And Henrik Mkhitaryan still has a few years left on his contract, so that keeping his price pretty much up, I think is pretty decent. This is just a situation where you got a team like Roma looking to try to bully Arsenal into getting a quality player for little to nothing, and I don't think that warrants the value. You know, Henrik Mkhitaryan, he's a decent player. I just feel like he's not built for Arsenal, just not consistent enough. And if he could do something just as good as what he's been doing at Arsenal for Roma, or something better for Roma, then you know what? Hats off to him, because I'm not particularly bothered about Henrik Mkhitaryan. Like, I think we've all moved on from him, and to be honest, a larger majority of Arsenal fans have kind of forgotten about him. So let's see what happens with that. But I think a bid closer to kind of 15-20 mil should be an acceptable amount, especially in today's age where a good player goes for 40 mil. I mean, Mkhitaryan's got to be seen at least 20. But let's see what happens there. And then finally, and this is kind of a little kind of side note, with Jerome Boateng. So yesterday when I talked about the story about Jerome Boateng being linked to Arsenal, it said that Arsenal really are interested. And there are talks of potentially Arsenal getting him for free for a loan, and Arsenal to pay just his salary, which is around 200 grand a week, which is ridiculous. Or Arsenal going in with a smallish bid of about £6 million for Jerome Boateng, which, to be honest, that's a pretty cheap amount for a centre-back, for an experienced centre-back, for someone who's a leader, for someone who's won things and who could help with various different parts of the squad dynamics, things that fans like me, fans like you are not really going to be kind of privy of unless according to what we see and what we hear, and very little of what we see, because unless you are in the dressing rooms on a regular basis, chances are you're not going to see a lot of that. So that is kind of a real good shot of us signing him. I do have to say, when I really started to think about the video I put out yesterday, I'm looking more forward to Nathan Ake. For me, I think it's really prevalent that we get players with Premier League experience, players that could come in and hit the ground running. And yes, Bournemouth are doing kind of bad now in the league. The Mikel Arteta effect hopefully could have a positive impact on his confidence and bring Nathan Ake up to the level that's needed in terms of being able to play for Arsenal. And the fact that he could play in multiple different positions, and yes, Boateng could do that, but Ake's younger, more chance to develop. Ake's only 24. Let's go for the younger option. And if it's a matter of money, then you know what, Stan, Josh, get your checkbook out. Like, stop being cheap. The squad needs investment, and a heavy investment, whether we make it into the Champions League, Europa League final or not. This squad needs investment, or else the value of this club will drop. Your income as investors will drop, And it's just that simple. You need to invest, or else this club will continue to sink. So invest in something you've chosen to buy. Stop complaining, and let's go out there, improve the squad, and try to win things. But guys, thank you once again for watching the video. Please comment, like, subscribe. It does help the channel out. Really looking to hear what you guys have to say about this, especially on this Thomas Lemar thing. Like, didn't see it coming. Really didn't. But leave your comments below on what you think about Thomas Lemar. Yeah, do you think he'd be a good shout out for Arsenal? Or do you think that that's about 3 years too late under the Wenger regime? And yeah, leave your comments below. Like, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.